All right. Welcome to the post Super Bowl 60 Pro Football Doc Sports Injury Central podcast. This will wrap up this football season, but there's always lots of news to talk about here. No more Radio Row. I'm sorry about the lighting. I guess there's a sun in, I don't know, in my office here. Uh, I'll have a white stripe across my forehead, I guess, but
Mhm.
good thing most people are audio. Any case, welcome, Taylor. You recovered from Super Bowl Radio
I am
Row week?
recovered. Yes. Yeah, it was good. Thursday was a little bit crazy. I remember just being in the bus more than talking to players, but I mean, that's how it is going to Santa Clara to San Francisco, right? But it was good seeing players visually, not just like reading about them and just writing insights about them right at six score. So it was good just talking to players about what's going on. Um, you saw Drake May said he needed a little injection, so
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll
yeah.
let some people join in questions and what have you. It was this was a weird Super Bowl, different vibe than last time in San Francisco. Last time it seemed more cohesive and the city was more excited about it. This time it seemed like it was split between San Jose, Santa Clara, and San Francisco. The
Mhm.
opening day was light, the media day, the media party was light. Radio Row was busy in and of
Absolutely.
itself,
Yes, it
but it
was.
didn't seem like there was a lot of vibe. I mean, okay, of course, come Friday, Saturday, it always picks up, but it's kind of like the fans all come in. But during the week, there wasn't as much vibe. I rather enjoy the visits with the players, and quite honestly, I think timing wise, having done it in the past, of course, Radio Row obligations, we couldn't go to all of them, and it takes, as you indicated, a lot of time to ride on the bus to get down there. I think we did it right. I did one, just the Patriots, because I had to get back to Radio Row,
Mhm.
and it was fun. You did both teams. And actually, in retrospect, I think doing it on Thursday is the right way to do it. It feels like a lot of the questions have been asked already, and the players seem less busy, so to
Mhm.
speak, and more approachable. So I had fun there. What was your highlight of the team visits?
Well, we had that Seattle safety, Nick Emmanwori's injury happened right on the Wednesday night. So going in Thursday would also helped out Doc, right? So I was able to right when we went to Radio Row, it seemed very Drake May shoulder, and then he started FPing, so it started dying down. You could see it die down a little bit, but then that new injury that was good. Following him, talking to him, I liked also like there's those kind of instances, Doc. You see, there's just tables with like three or four players in each table, and it's you could literally walk up to anybody and speak to them. You and me were talking to Robert Spillane by ourselves. We'll bring up Harold Landry. Harold Landry was literally speaking to you face to face, right? There's nobody around you. Like it's just a very interesting and cool way to see these players without you see them on TV when they're Drake Mays and stuff. They have a billion cameras and stuff around them, but when you see them there, it's very limited to just the people that have access, which is cool.
Yeah, and I think I got something out. I mean, well, I'll ask you your highlights. That was some of them. You did well. My highlight was that because it was less crowded by Thursday, and I would always wait until a player was alone because I didn't want to be stealing media time from somebody else.
Right.
Um, I don't think it was questions, it was more of conversation. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I rather enjoyed you and mine and our banter with, Jack Gibbons, asking
Right.
him whether he got a new hat, and,
Mm-hmm.
he explained, he obviously at media day opening night gave his hat to Robert Kraft, and I rather enjoyed chatting with him. He was, like, very forthcoming. He goes, "He actually forgot his hat, so someone" I said, "Did you get your hat back?" And he goes, "Well, he already had a different hat, and he already had his hat, but I guess he forgot it in the room or on the bus or something, and so someone gave him an extra, and
Mm-hmm.
so when he saw Mr. Kraft not having the hat, A, he was doing the right thing, B, it was like in his mind, it was an extra hat anyway. Someone had
Right.
hooked him up, so why shouldn't he hook up Mr. Kraft? And of course, we joked that that might help his contract extension, kind of deal. So I mean, it was kind of fun, interesting. I'd rather enjoy talking to Harold Landry. We
Hmm.
actually found out late to the party, but based on our time on Radio Row, found out that he actually hurt his knee week 6, and I talked to him about it a little bit, where it was a bad injury, and I was surprised how he played through week 6 and all season with it, and I think he was appreciative. Spillane gave some nice stock answers, very professional.
Yes.
I rather enjoyed. Um, I talked with Jelani Tavai, and he was great. My son, well, our whole family, my son and I uh, flew, the whole family flew from Hawaii. It would have been February, I don't know, 8 years ago, something like that. 6, 7, 8. I don't know. I don't know. 8 years ago. How long has Tavai been in the league? We
He was on the
sat,
Lions then, I believe, too, right? He wasn't on
no,
the
he was
Patriots.
nowhere then.
No, well, he's a free agent. Okay, yeah.
No, he was a college entering the draft,
He went to
and he was
Hawaii. Yeah.
flying to combines
Okay.
and sat next to my son and I, who struck up a conversation and combines. And so my son's kind of been following his career. We were in coach in the back of the plane, literally in the family section. And there's 5 in my family, so we were 3 and 2, and Tavai was in the other seat with the 2 of us, and chatting a little bit. He remembered it, and he liked my line. I said 2 things came out of that trip to Hawaii. A, my son became a fan of yours and followed your career. And he's like, "What's the other?" I said, "He got to like Spam Musabis there in that trip." And of course, being the good Hawaiian, Tavai liked that. And he said, "Oh, let me have your phone." And he said, "Let me send a message to your son." And so he's nice. So it was fun. But we do get injury stuff, as you said, Nick, Emmanwori, and I did see Drake Maye by Thursday look completely normal at the press conference. No more splinting the shoulder,
Slouching, yeah.
favoring it. I mean, he was using his shoulder even in the press conference. And we'll get to Drake Maye in a second here. But the other thing I got out of there, and maybe because Will Campbell was sitting at the same table as Morgan Moses.
Hmm.
Morgan Moses has prototypical long arms. Will Campbell, I mean, I always heard about short arms, but thought he played reasonably well this season. And I was like, wow, he really does have short arms, as I was just in the interview. I didn't ask him any questions. I wasn't going to say, how about your short arms? I mean, but that ended up, at least for this Super Bowl, getting exposed a little bit. We'll see. I mean, he's obviously a young player. He's got a lot to learn. I would not be surprised. Look, they drafted him in number 4. I would not be surprised if he gets moved to guard.
Would that signify a failure, or if he becomes an all-pro guard like I've seen Elton Jenkins do for the Packers? He's played all-pro center, left guard, wherever they need them. Does it need to work into that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't in
Yeah.
the draft room in their plans. As long as he's a long-term starter, I mean, I think you can justify the pick. I get it. Tackles go higher than guards typically. Could you, if you were taking him at guard, could you have traded down? Look, and I'm not saying he's not a left tackle in this league.
Right,
He actually
right.
played fairly well all season long.
Mhm.
And then this game, depends on the stats. Was it really 14 pressures or was it 5?
You see
Who
the
knows?
difference. There's so many different stats. I saw PFF had 2, and you have some other ones had 5. I saw Next Gen.
Well,
Had
my
4.
eyeball test is the left side of the offensive line gave up a bunch. Whether
Okay.
it was
Yeah,
all
yeah.
hit and depending on the stunt and what happened, I'm not blaming him, but certainly there was a great defensive line, Seahawks, and they took advantage. I mean, 6 sacks. I mean, it seemed like there was a lot of pressure coming from that left side. I don't know how many of those were Will Campbell's pure fault per se. And look, he's a rookie. He can overcome this. I'm not saying he's dead and done and it's a bad pick. It just, I hope for his sake. Did you see the Mike Silver quote?
I saw you comment on it this morning.
Brutal,
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah.
He said they were calling him Route 66, Route 66. Do you know what Route 66 is, Taylor?
What is it? It's in California.
It's a famous song, book, this, that, the Route 66. And that'd be brutal if that's his nickname and it stuck, Route 66. I mean, sometimes these things, like poor Sam Darnold, I saw stuff of from seeing ghosts to seeing his reflection in the Super Bowl trophy. Okay, cool, but I really don't think it was cool that they broadcast that seeing ghosts thing. I mean, that was a private moment. And boy, Route 66.
That's his jersey number for everybody, just to make that easier.
Right, but it's a very famous, you know.
What is Route 66 in itself? Is that like a place that can go anywhere, or like what does that mean? You know, like
Route 66 is a highway from Chicago to Santa Monica, California.
Okay.
Iconic through different road trips and writings and locations.
Here's the quote here. Seahawks pass rushers sped past Campbell and got their kicks against him so frequently they might as well have dubbed him Route 66, he said in his article after the game. Yeah.
Route 66 was one of the original numbered highways, and it was iconic, and I think there are songs about it and so forth. So, but it is a dated Get Your Kicks on Route 66, famously performed by Nat King Cole before my time, Chuck Berry before my time, and the Rolling Stones a little bit before my time, sort of.
Right.
Mother Road, Take It Easy by the Eagles, Life is a Highway, road trip tracks. I don't know.
It's the primary artery for westward migration back in the day. So
yes. Well, that was a primary artery or a primary artery for Seahawks migration.
There you go. Yes.
But that would be brutal if that. I mean, that kid will have to change his number if that's the case.
That's yikes.
I guess it's easy nowadays, but I feel bad for him. And then I don't know. I don't think it helps that he didn't take questions.
Yeah, I saw like Jeff Schwartz. We met him at you saw him at Radio Row. He didn't like that either. He said like he understands why he didn't, but he doesn't think that's a good look. And I would.
It's just not. It prolongs the suspense until the next time that he speaks to media, and so you're like drawing out the news cycle and attention. I mean, look, I get he was upset by it. Okay, pretend I'm Will Campbell. Ask me a question. Ask me a hard question. Go.
Why do you think you took 14 pressures during the Super Bowl game? Was it a rookie year or something that they found in your weakness in your game?
I don't know if I gave up one pressure or 41 pressures. The bottom line is we lost the game, and I'm very disappointed and distraught that we lost the game. I'd gladly give up 28 pressures to win the game. I would hate to lose the game and give up 0 pressures.
That's good.
Next question.
You want to give you a next question?
No, I'm just saying,
No,
like,
I know. That's like,
you know what I'm saying?
You got to answer for what happened. Like it's something that happened. It wasn't like, it's that you're not, it looks like you're not exactly running away.
I'm not worried about individual performances. Of course, everyone wants to do better, but the bottom line is we failed as a team and we didn't win this game.
Right.
And so I'm very disappointed.
There's a variation of that could be sent 8 to 10 times. We talked to Spillane. Spillane answered about his ankle 20 different ways, but he said the same thing in a way, so, I mean, there's a way to do it.
I just think he's better getting it out there, but I'm not a PR expert. Just get it out there and address it. It's on film and I don't know how many pressures I gave up or didn't give up, but one pressure is too many. I obviously have to do better. And obviously I didn't play well enough for us to win this game. And that's the most important thing. I'd gladly take a game where I had personally didn't live up to my standards, but we won the game. The bottom line is we didn't win the game.
Right. And that's
done. I mean, it's addressed. Anyways, so much for that.
What about the Seattle safety? Did you see anything in his play that's different from normal? Or, I mean, we did have a guaranteed pick at SixScore.com on his under tackles assists, but what were your thoughts?
We hit all those props. The guaranteed on Emmanwori under, Over
Yep.
Drake Maye incompletions. We'll get to Drake Maye. Under New England, 20.5 total points. The second half worked out. Seattle plus 1.5. So it was a good day for sick picks. But Emmanwori got close, right? With the chase yards and tackles at the end.
At the end, correct. Yeah.
First half, he only had one tackle. Into the fourth quarter, into the final drive, only 3. And then he got 2 on the final drive, right?
Yeah.
But I always thought we were safe on that. It's great that he played, but the descriptions I got from reporters that really knew what they were doing said that he's a more athletic Kyle Hamilton, which is unbelievable, right? Kyle Hamilton's really athletic, and he's a key to their defense. He's Mike McDonald, who had Kyle Phillips in Baltimore. It's his answer to that, and he's a more athletic Kyle Hamilton. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He played, good on him. I still maintain he wasn't close to 100%, which is why we took that. His very first tackle, Drake Maye. Drake Maye almost got around the corner on him. Emmanwori made the tackle, hanging on for dear life. I have to believe that a healthy Emmanwori blows Drake Maye up closer to the line of scrimmage and doesn't allow the first down and doesn't drag him down by the belt like a flag football almost tackle. I think a healthy Emmanwori blows up Drake Maye right there. And so he wasn't 100%. Do
you remember the final play of the game? The tackle that Julian Love made, Nick actually had him wrapped up and he was about to take him down, and the guy shook him off and ran by them, and then Love. So I thought they were going to give Emmanwori an assist at the end, but like you said, and there's a lot of plays you could see that he wasn't fully finishing off his plays or whatever was going on.
He did a great job with that ankle, right? But he just wasn't full. I mean, look, the descriptions were he's a more athletic Kyle Hamilton. That was not a more athletic Kyle Hamilton on Sunday. Still good, still helped him win, but that was nowhere near normal. So that's where some of our stuff helped us a little bit. All right, let's talk about Drake Maye. Okay, so he revealed that he took a shot in the shoulder to play. And we talked about it on Radio Row. The extra week before the Super Bowl, super healing powers, he's going to play. The drug that everyone on the field will be on with a double dose for Super Bowl Sunday, adrenaline. The other drug that Sam Darnold also took, Toradol, vitamin T, and the possibility of a local injection into the AC joint. We said it was a mild AC joint sprain. I think the fact that he took a pain-killing injection into the shoulder joint, really AC joint, proves that it indeed was a mild AC joint sprain.
Right.
And did he play well through it? Look, he didn't have a lot of time. He didn't play particularly well. Was it all due to the shoulder? No, in no way. It had to do with Seattle's defense and the offensive line play. Did it have some contribution to it? Maybe. Of course, he's not made any excuses. He said, he played, and anytime anyone's on the field, you're good to go. He's good to go. But you could argue were a couple of the passes due to the shoulder wobblers. I mean, maybe in the sense that he didn't get as much practice in, maybe because his playoffs have not been good, maybe because of the pressure, maybe a small part because of the shoulder. But the Patriots did everything appropriately in their reporting of Drake Maye. I get how some people can be upset. Well, if he needed a pain-killing injection, why wasn't he on the injury report and the team is lying and this, that, the other? No, the team followed the rules. He was on the injury report. Last week, he was LP and listed as questionable for the game. Okay, DNP on Friday.
Yeah, we had DNP in there, correct. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. And the week of Super Bowl was FP 3 straight times. No injury designation for the game in terms of status, meaning he was 100% playing, but he was still on the injury report, right shoulder, FP, FP, FP. He did not come off the injury report. Look, what are the rules? A team is required to give an honest estimation of the chances of play. And there's only 3 choices. I guess 4 choices: out, doubtful, questionable, nothing, meaning playing. There's no probable anymore. They had him on there as nothing, meaning he's 100% playing. He played. There's no shenanigans there. They were confident he was playing with or without injection. Doesn't matter. You don't need to state that. As long as you're confident and there's no doubt that he's playing with or without an injection, that's okay. He was listed on the injury report. What constitutes full practice? What constitutes full practice is not full health. You don't have to be 100% healthy to be listed as FP. Full practice is that, not full health. Full practice means you've done everything the team asked you or wanted to do in a normal sense. You took the same number of snaps, first team reps, ran the number of plays that the starter would run, and threw the ball like a starter was expected to do. That doesn't mean you threw it with the same amount of zip. It doesn't mean you threw it with the same amount, same accuracy. It just means you did everything. So he was on the report, right throwing shoulder. He was listed as full participation. And he was still on the injury report, but with no game designation. The Patriots followed the rules. Now, if you want to say the rules should be different,
that's a different discussion. Yeah,
different question.
Right,
but there was no shenanigans on the part of the Patriots in this, and hopefully, Boston media will replay this segment because, I think we made a long ways to making amends. Or not that I ever hated Boston, I went to school there. I'm a Patriots fan. Super Bowl Sunday, I thought the Seahawks were going to win. My final score prediction was 30-13. I was off, 29-13. I entered, a friend of mine had a free pool, like he had it insured. If you pick the exact score, you get $5,000. I was 1 point off from getting $5,000 in his free pool.
You get zero. That sucks.
I get $0. Well, I don't know. I might win. I'm only 1 point away. Assuming no one won the exact score, I'm only 1 point away. So I probably should tie for the second place, or that it's not going to be $5,000. I don't even know how much money it is, but I would imagine I'm at least tied for it. I'm only 1 point away, 30-13. My predicted score was 30-13 Seahawks. Yet I wore a Patriots shirt at Super Bowl Sunday because I didn't find it for Radio Row. But for some reason, I found it yesterday before I went to the party, buried in my closet. It was an old Mike Vrabel shirt. And people are like, oh, you lost weight. No, it's just that was never my shirt. It was Mike Vrabel's shirt that he was clearing out his locker at Pro Bowl. And, I was there as a doctor, I was walking by. Hey, you want some of this stuff? Okay, whatever. So I like Mike Vrabel. I like the Patriots, I guess is my point. In my heart, I knew more people on the Patriots than the Seahawks. So I was in my heart rooting for the Patriots, even though I felt like Seattle would win. And I think I told you, if I were in Vegas, and I was not, I would have get plus 200 and take an alternate line of 10 or 10.5.
Minus 10.5.
Yeah. Get plus 200 on the Seahawks with an alternate line. That's what I thought was going to happen. But in any case, hopefully that clears things up. Yes, he had an injury. Yes, he played through. Nothing surprised us. And no, the Patriots, there were no shenanigans on their injury reporting.
I want to bring up Harold Landry, Doc, because there's a little echo here. He only had 19.4 of the snaps last in the Super Bowl. You remember we saw that snaps decreasing. Only 14 defensive snaps as a whole.
I was wrong there in the sense that I thought the Patriots, because of roster composition, would have to sit either Landry or Spillane, because you've got two guys with injury issues, and if they both go out, you're 2 men short. And I thought they would perhaps only be able to activate one of the two, and I thought it would be Spillane, not Landry. but they did activate both, so I was wrong there. And Landry didn't play all snaps, obviously, was limited. And I believe that stems from a week 6 against the Saints. Friendly fire, right knee bone bruise, and lateral collateral ligament sprain. We went back and looked at it, courtesy Evan Lazar is the one who said, in that Saints game, he had da-da-da-da. We went back and found it. And I was surprised he finished that game, even though it was a first quarter injury. He had 85% of the snaps or something in that game, which is unbelievable, which is kind of what we were talking to him about in person. But anyways, all good.
Anything I wanted to bring up Will Campbell stuff real quick. You have McAfee talk about it this morning too. Remember, he had the torn MCL, so I don't want to people get off his back. He's obviously has that. And also, I saw Willie Anderson and even Jeff Schwartz talked about it. He might it's not even about maybe his arms. Willie Anderson said something funny. He said there's a lot of long-armed left tackles, right tackles that suck too, right? It's just a matter that he's not playing to his strengths. He's saying he's overcompensating a little bit, so he's playing too vertical and playing like a taller one that has longer arms, and he needs to maybe play more and just get perfect sets. Because that's what happened. That's what he did in college. It wasn't about his arms. He did perfect set, and he wasn't allowing anything. So that's what people are seeing in video. And like you said, maybe this offseason needs to work on anything because he's not going to grow his arms longer. So there's a reason why he's fourth, right?
I am not an offensive line expert, but for fans, and Willie Anderson may have something there. It is all about your pass set. It's about being on balance. That's why you always see them doing drills with the choppy steps. The longer you have 1 foot off the ground, whenever you have 1 foot off the ground, you're off balance. So that's why they do the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da to get back there. The quick kick out, da-da-da-da-da-da, because you want both feet on the ground so you're never off balance and well-centered. Okay. And once you're off balance, whether it's sumo wrestling or other wrestling or O-line versus D-line, you're now vulnerable. Once you're off balance, you're done. Now, what's the whole thing of long arms? The whole thing of long arms, and I'm being overly simplistic, I'm no expert at it, okay, is that if my arms are longer than yours, then I can contact you like a boxer with more reach before you contact me. And I can contact your body with power. Doing what? Getting you off balance. So if you're reaching to get me, but I reach to get you and I get you first, now you're off balance. It's sort of like, but maybe Will Anderson is onto something. That's why he should be a Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
If he, instead of concentrating on getting out and the punch and working on his passing and being off balance,
that could work.
If he does get hit first, he's not off balance because he's not trying to challenge at the same time as being challenged.
Right.
He's just ready to absorb the hit and stay on balance there and stays over himself and balanced. But yeah, right. Maybe it's a technique thing. It's like he's had success. I'm not saying he's not a left tackle, but he's a young left tackle, and so he'll learn. And if he doesn't, he'll get moved to guard.
Exactly. Like we said earlier, yes. Real cool. Yeah, dude, just comment on the JSN thing, Doc. What did you see? Because I feel like a lot of times we see a concussion when it goes into the locker room. Seems like a very low chance of returning. What did your thoughts when you saw that? Just real quick before we wrap up.
I didn't notice it in real time that it was a concussion check. I saw the little screen pass to the flat, and it wasn't clear video. We put it up later, but I did know when they went to, and again, he was having his ankle looked at, and we didn't see a lot there. But then when he went to the locker room and we saw the red hat in tow, I was like, well, that's like for a head check, and good to see that he cleared and returned. I think clearly the Patriots were saying someone else other than JSN is going to beat us today.
I think
that was the game plan. Yeah. Someone's going to beat us today, but it ain't going to be JSN. And
that's the Patriot way, right? Taking the best offensive threat. We've seen that for years.
Cooper Kupp, did all right, and they try to get the ball Shaheed. Kenneth Walker, they didn't really stop, but maybe they said, as long as JSN doesn't beat us,
we'll be okay.
We'll be okay. And he didn't. So that was good. Oh, and then since we're into the off season, we're going to have guests going forward, and we actually did have a guest, but since we wanted to get this podcast out today, travel day for our guest getting home from Super Bowl. our plan, and I'll cement the time this week, is to have Howard Balzer on. He's been a friend for a little bit, and I was chatting with him on Radio Row, and he said he's on the Hall of Fame selection committee, the one that did not vote Balzer in. Balzer was on the committee on the one that did not vote Belichick in.
Yeah.
He hasn't said anything about what his vote is or anything, because he said, I'm respecting the process, so I'm not saying anything yet. But but after the announcement that he would talk about it. And that's when, in passing, I said, you want to talk about it on my podcast? He said, sure. So we'll get Howard Balzer on tomorrow, the next day, what have you. And that'll start our guest series. And I want to hear what he has to say about the Hall of Fame. He was, quote, in the room when it happened.
Mhm.
And I want to hear his side of what was going on. He seems willing to talk about it. And, you know me, I'm not going to Pablo Torre him or, whatever. I'm just going to say, tell us your thought and tell us what happened from your point of view, and perhaps what changes should be made. But he hasn't said anything yet. So I think it'll be interesting to see what he has to say.
We'll talk basketball and college basketball a little bit, but first we're going to talk about Lindsey Vonn. She was even asked about, even when we were on Radio Row when it was all football, we were getting questions. You were on local TV about Lindsey Vonn, San Diego. Tell me what you saw. She ended up having she's already had surgery on the leg already. Just unfortunate, 13 seconds in.
I can't emphasize enough what I was saying all week, which is we're bearing the lead here. This is an unbelievable, fantastic story. She's 41, has all these Olympic accolades, is 41 and was favored to win the gold medal. Mm-hmm. She's doing it on a right knee replacement, total knee, unprecedented. And now on a recent re-tear of the left knee ACL, unprecedented. Good for her. She deserves it. She's earned the right to race. And she proved it with the practice runs where she wasn't dead last. This was not a glory run, give me flowers, I made the Olympics and for my sponsors. She was there to try and win it. She improved her practice time by 2 seconds from the first day to the second day. But also when she did it, you could see there was 1 or 2 times where she was
got a little
squirrely, to say the least.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Unbelievable superior athlete. She's the Serena Williams as to tennis, women's tennis, as Lindsey Vonn is to women's downhill. She just is bigger and stronger than the rest. I mean, Serena in her time was different than the others. So was Lindsey Vonn. So all of it is to be celebrated. She deserved the race and what have you. What happened? Look, I'm not a ski expert. Yes, I covered X Games, winter and summer, as the chief medical officer. We didn't have pure downhill like this. We had skier X and border X things where 6 guys, first one down the mountain, or 6 women, first one down the mountain, be it skiing or snowboarding, and of course all the different tricks. But this is different. It's downhill, and it's only one racer against time, and it's about speed and line. But you cannot tell me, look, I get it. She clipped the gate and fell. And anyone who clips the gate would fall. And clipping the gate is not a direct result of her left knee giving out on her. But when you're pushing hard and trying to ski tight lines, when it seems like early on she might have taken a different line, maybe because of her knee. I'm no ski expert. One thing leads to another. And look, kudos to her for doing the unthinkable. Kudos. I've said it, this would be a Mount Rushmore of sports injury overcomes, higher than Phillip Rivers playing football with a torn ACL. 6 days after a knee scope in the AFC Championship game in 2008, 2009 against the Patriots. Yes, I'm the one that, quote, allowed him to do it. If I were
Right.
Lindsey Vonn's doctor, I would have talked to her about the risks of doing it at 85 miles an hour and falling and hurting something else. But I think it would have been up to her if she did it with the brace. It's unknown waters, uncharted waters. But it would be on the Mount Rushmore if she medaled of any kind in the Olympics. Bronze medal, that would have been a Mount Rushmore. I mean, I don't know who else is on it. Phillip Rivers may be there. I mean, Kurt Schilling with the bloody sock and dislocating peroneal tendon. Is it Terrell Owens playing through a fracture? And,
So Willis Reed, the Knicks, the wheelchair.
Willis Reed moment coming back in. But I would have put Lindsey Vonn up there if she would have.
Yeah, she would have got a. Is it a medal or a gold medal? Just medaling, right?
Any medal, and I would have put her on there. And that's kind of what I was saying in the kindest of ways. Taylor, you know how fans see someone, oh, look, he's running on a treadmill. He's ready to go. Mm-hmm. No, these athletes are too special. Oh, look at Lindsey Vonn. Look at all the training. She's ready to go.
She's lifting the weights or squatting.
She's ready to go. Don't I say this with the utmost respect to Lindsey Vonn and the utmost respect to all high-level professional elite athletes. And I say it in this way. If Lindsey Vonn could win the gold medal this short a time from a new ACL tear, albeit when you tear a graft, it doesn't hurt as much. But still, regardless,
so much
with
going
the
on.
bone bruise meniscus, with the recent ACL tear, and at the age of 41, and a total knee on the right side, and you throw in, look, I think it's a Mount Rushmore performance if she wins the gold medal without re-tearing her ACL.
Right. Okay.
41 years old on a total knee and a 2 or 3 time previous left knee ACL tear on her left side. I think that's Mount Rushmore worthy. That's why if she wins the gold, that's why I think a bronze medal with the torn ACL would have been Mount Rushmore worthy. But I say this, and let me say this, and now that I've prefaced it and people can hear it, it would be a mockery to the sport of Olympic downhill to think that someone this recent from an ACL could just come back and win it. It would make a mockery of how high of a level these competitors are around the world, that someone could do that. And I say that in the kindest of ways, out of respect to Lindsey Vonn and all of her competitors. So hopefully that gets taken in the right way.
Well, I even saw the president of International Ski and Snowboard, Amber, they were talking to him, and he's like, this is super tragic, but he's like, this is ski racing. Like, this is the kind of stuff that can happen when you're healthy in racing, let alone, someone that's dealing with.
Let me ask this question. How often do you know the answer? How often do skiers clip a gate and fall like that? I know when you clip the gate, you do fall.
Okay? I tried to look it up. Yeah, I don't know how often. Yeah, no, I agree.
Let me ask this question then. More often or less often than a special teams kickoff return for a touchdown?
What was it? Which one's more? Which kickoff return or what?
Kickoff return for a touchdown or clipping a gate and falling?
I think clipping the gate happens more.
Happens more often?
Yeah.
I don't know.
By much, though. Not by much.
I would say kickoff return, especially opening kickoff return for a touchdown, because there's only 252 of them in a year.
I would say the first clip, though. I mean, maybe clipping something later on in your run, but clipping it on the first is interesting too. She clipped it 13 seconds in. You know what I mean?
I think it was the first gate.
Was it maybe the second? Yeah, 13 seconds, maybe
early.
Yeah,
I don't think
or very early to do that. I think.
But she turned wide to get around the first gate, so maybe that was related to her knee, which then changed her line where she got. I got to make up some time, and I got to cut this close because. And so, was clipping the gate and falling because of her knee directly? No, right? She clipped the gate. Anyone would fall,
right?
Not like if her knee was healthy, she could have saved the clipping of the gate. No, she's going down once she clips the gate. But does she clip the gate because of her knee? no one will know. Only you can ask her, but you can ask a skiing expert in terms of her line and how she was going for it to try and win. This wasn't a glory run. And the analogy I'll give you is we picked hard against the 49ers, taking the Seahawks in that playoff game, divisional round game. And I heard some people say, well, that's because Rashid Shaheed scored the opening kickoff on a touchdown and then it threw them off the game and they were on the chase. Well, I would argue that opening kickoff for a touchdown happened because backup linebackers were starting and perhaps not running special teams for the 49ers. It was backups to backups running special teams. Or if the backups were still running special teams for the 49ers, the backup linebackers' attention was more on defensive snaps than running down on the opening kickoff. So there's just downstream effect. So I would argue that Shaheed touchdown was related to the linebacker injuries that the 49ers had directly or indirectly with the trickle down. And I think the same thing for Lindsey Vonn. The bottom line is we don't know any details about the fracture of her leg. I certainly stayed away from speculating because I didn't want to be seen as, and we are not celebrating the crash. We're just reporting what it is and how it makes sense. And if anything, and kudos to her that she wasn't in it just for a glory run. She was in it to win it. And that's why the crash happened. Do I believe she could safely ski down the hill? 1,000%. She did it twice on practice runs.
Right.
But she also knew that that time in practice runs wasn't going to get her a medal. So she was going for it. So tremendous kudos to Lindsey Vonn all around. And I hope her leg injuries are fine. And I mean, look, she didn't break her neck, so it's all good. I think she'll be okay. I hope, right? Expect.
So, Doc, anybody that's asking, what are you guys going to do after NFL? I want to let people know we're doing very good on NBA and college basketball. We have lots of insights on our sick picks as well. Doc hitting both at 55+%. Just I want you to, again, remind people on why you believe injuries are more important in the basketball type setting than.
Well, first of all, we modified our name from Pro Football Doc, right? I mean, when we first started, we were Pro Football Doc and we were on FanDuel, the duel with a tab, Pro Football Doc. But it was FanDuel that wanted us to, and we decided, and we became Sports Injury Central because we do all sports, hockey, tennis, baseball, basketball, skiing, right?
Competitive eating. Joey Chestnut. Sorry. Go on,
We've done Joey Chestnut.
Yes.
Anything where there's medical analysis to be had. That's why it's sicscore.com, 6 scores, Sports Injury Central, SIC. And that, of course, includes basketball. And what you're hinting at is we actually feel like we might be in some ways better at basketball. There's no question I know football more. But one of the things that we say, but I have covered NBA teams. I was an assistant physician on the Timberwolves and assistant on the Chicago Bulls, right? I wasn't the main guy. That's why I don't promote that. Whereas in the NFL, I was the head team physician for 17 years, right? As opposed to cup of coffee affiliated guy. I was more cup of coffee affiliated guy for the Bulls and Timberwolves. And, you know, I was pseudo official capacity for the Vikings. But I wasn't the head guy. That's why I've only said Chargers, because that's where
the one
that you would notice or whatever and be in charge of. But my point is that in football with 22 starters, we often look for cluster injuries. So is it 3 out of 4 offensive linemen? Is it the 49ers linebackers? Is it the Detroit secondary and safeties? But in basketball, with 5 starters, every injury is basically 4.5 injuries in NFL. And if the point guard's down, I mean, that's not just one injury. It's equivalent to 4.5 injuries in that world. Or if the power forward is down, it's like saying 3 out of 5 offensive linemen are down, right? And so that's why basketball has actually been pretty good even with load managements and a lot of different twists and turns in the long season. But we've had some success, good success in basketball, and I think that's because of the cluster injury multiplier, given 5 starters versus 22. And you could argue primarily 8, 9 rotational players versus probably 35 or so rotational players, right?
Mhm.
In the NFL, like, in terms of by the, the fullback and the third down, the extra wide receiver, the second tight end, the slot corner, the dime corner, the pass rush expert on defense. By the time you get those guys in, it's about 35 guys that are in the regular rotation playing. There's probably 8, no more than 9 in the regular rotation for basketball. And that's where everything multiplies in importance.
And we see that in WNBA too, because I think even the 8 to 9, it goes to like 7 sometimes, maybe even 6.
Well,
So
you can
that,
argue the depth
yeah,
in
yeah.
WNBA is perhaps not as great and deep as the depth of the NBA.
So it means
mean,
the injuries matter more, I think, and we see
They
that
do,
stuff.
I think.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, look, there's a lot of great players in the WNBA, but I think, people would be surprised. I don't think they're surprised how good the NBA depth is. The second stringers are usually pretty good, whereas I think there's a bigger difference, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, between the WNBA superstars and the next level. Less so in the NBA, but still there's a drop off, so it's important.
Mhm. Well, just to wrap this up, I'll make sure everybody goes to sixscore.com. There's still plenty of information just because NFL's not over. And just to promote, we will shout out a time soon, Doc, for Howard Balzer to talk about all things NFL Hall of Fame, etc.
You don't want to know about your Raider?
Oh, I was just about to say, I have people just text me saying, can you please ask Doc about Derek Carr? They want to talk about him right now.
Oh, that Raider, Derek Carr. Okay.
Which Raider are you talking about?
Who's the greatest Raider right now?
Right now.
It's not Tom Brady.
Jim Plunkett. Oh, Max Crosby.
Max Crosby.
Right, I know who you're talking about. Max Crosby.
Okay, yes. We'll get to Max Crosby. Derek Carr. So much for the shoulder injury that ended his career. We said, no, he could have. If he wanted to, even if he needed surgery, there's ways he could have played. And now there's all this, maybe he will. Maybe he does want to. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, look, we know how the game is played. He perhaps is interested. His agent is interested. Put out the feelers through national media. We'll see if there's any interest. But
he played with
remember we said there seemed to be funny business about Derek Carr, and then all of a sudden there was he could have had surgery. Like we said, what from Ian Rappaport, I think, broke the news. He might need shoulder surgery, but then he's not going to have it. And he's going to retire, right? Well, then he gets paid out because it's an injury, right? And I was like, it may be a surprise to us at the time. We said maybe
Mickey Loomis,
but it wasn't a surprise to the New Orleans Saints.
Right.
They knew what was happening and coming down the road. Exactly. And now that he got paid for his year of injury or whatever their settlement was, he might want to come back. It's his prerogative. I'm not hating on him. But I was talking about Max Crosby.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
So part of the Super Bowl headlines the week is Max Crosby disgruntled. Max Crosby wants to be traded. Max Crosby has maybe played his last game for the Raiders. And he's told Tom Brady this. I've seen all of this. I'm just trying to rewind a little bit. The Max Crosby used to be considered a really good Raiders soldier, playing through on bad teams. And then I think the first sign of trouble in paradise was when the Raiders were shutting down Max Crosby at the end of last season. And Max Crosby was not happy with it. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. And Max Crosby was like, wait, I don't want to be shut down. Why are you shutting me down? And he even played some basketball at his house.
His home court, yes.
In his home court, which is obviously huge.
Super
nice. A full indoor basketball court at their home. I guess Max Crosby does. We're lucky to have that at the gym, where Davis practices.
There you go.
In any case, my point is, it was, the Raiders are tanking for Francisco Mendoza, and this is not a good look. Well, now that the news is out that he had a meniscus repair, and meniscus repairs are much longer recovery than trims.
Right.
Doesn't this put a new light on it? Maybe the Raiders were actually looking out for Max Crosby. You're going to have a longer recovery with the meniscus repair. You need to get shut down. Thank you for your service and being willing to play through when you need a meniscus repair, but we don't want to ruin you for the long term. So we're shutting you down. We're out of it now. And it's not really to get the first pick, but really what's best and right for you.
Exactly.
And so what started this Max Crosby doesn't like the Raiders was the move to shut him down that he didn't agree with. But now, in the light of the meniscus repair, one can argue the Raiders did do what's best for Max Crosby, even though he didn't like it. And maybe there's a little misunderstanding in terms of.
Did you hear his comments? He said there's a lot of people walking around Radio Row this week, etc., that are speaking for him that he's not necessarily agreeing with. So, like you said, there might be, like you said, something misunderstanding or something going on, there.
Well, I'm just saying the simple narrative that Max Crosby is pissed because the Raiders shut him down to draft Francisco Mendoza, and that's why he wants to be traded is a little too simplistic. Right. The Raiders weren't nefarious in shutting down Max Crosby. If anything, they were doing right by him, assuming they knew the potential of this meniscus repair versus trim, which is a much longer recovery, and they didn't want the tear to get worse and be harder to repair. So anyway, so that's the Max Crosby read between the lines news, and let's see what happens.
All right, Doc, that's all I have. Like I said, just make sure we shout out to everybody when the next guest pod is, and just go to sixscore.com for all the college basketball and NBA stuff.
Buzz in or tweet in if there's certain guests that you want to. I mean, it's just a matter of scheduling, getting our schedules with theirs. We don't have to do the regular Monday cadence now in the off season, although there's still lots of other sports and lots of other things that happen. And we want to keep it all rolling. One thing I've learned is there's never, like, even when we started this on our little pre-call, when we never rehearsed what we're talking about, I was like, do you want to do the podcast thing? We got lots to talk about, whether we got Howard Balzer or not. I mean, we always
yes, do. It always comes to fruition.
We always do. The news cycle is continuous, and the NFL is year-round, and the whole deal.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks. Rate, like, subscribe, go to Sick Picks. Basketball content galore. We'll continue with football, and we'll let everyone know about Howard Balzer and what he has to say. It'll be interesting. I'm curious. I don't know what he's going to say. I'm going to let him have the floor.
Exactly.
And we will go from there. All right. Thanks, everybody. Looking forward already to next NFL season. Think about this, the craziness of the NFL season. Remember the lateral that Charbonnet picked up casually for the touchdown, or was it a 2-point or a touch? The 2-point conversion.
Let me see. It might be a 2-point. Yeah.
Whatever it was, that's what allowed the Seahawks to win the game and then get the home field. If you really go back,
2-point conversion.
Otherwise, they would have lost to the Rams twice.
2-point conversion, by the way, Doc. Yeah.
What's that?
2-point conversion. Yeah.
But if they don't get that 2-point conversion, he doesn't casually pick up that ball on that lateral, then the Rams win the game. They will have beaten the Seahawks twice. They would have ended up with home field advantage throughout, and things could be different. It's very interesting. All right. Sounds good. And then Ari Meroff put up something, and I thought was interesting. What about our guy, Phillip Rivers? Took first game back, played in Seattle, and it took a final. He got the lead with the field goal, and they got nipped at the wire by a Jason Myers field goal. And that was late season. That was what, week 15, something like that.
Yeah.
In Seattle, Phillip Rivers took his Colts to a whisker of victory in Seattle. Didn't happen, but that was an interesting one as well. So as dominant as Seattle has been, dominance in the NFL is very fleeting. And one,
that was a week after retiring, like you said. He just got there.
that was his first game. I mean,
Yeah.
he got
Yeah.
called on Sunday, signed up that week. He had 3 practices, and he went to Seattle, and they almost won.
47 seconds they held it to. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, which means, right? I mean, that's how fine the narrative right now. The Seahawks had a dominant defense, and they were dominant, and they were clearly the better team, and they're Super Bowl champs. Well, look at that Ram game. Look at this game. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying the narratives change very easily.
Won when it mattered. Yeah, that means yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening and watching. We're at 55 minutes. That's plenty. That's perfect timing. And we'll see you again later this week. Thank you.